Starry Horizons looks like a very different boat without the mast up. And a quick side note, I hope you like our fancy method of securing the mast step so water can't drip in. Just because the mast is out, the generator's out, shore power converter's out, doesn't quite mean the cleanup from all those things is done yet. I'm going to jump down the anchor, generator locker and show you what I'm talking about. Kind of just barely fit under here now with the generator gone, but at least now that it's out, it's a lot easier to see. Kind of down here in the corner, this was really hidden by all the generator, but I have much easier access to the fuel lines, the water intake exhaust, the gas exhaust, all that stuff. So it'd be much easier to get that out, at least from this side. But what I also want to do is get it out from inside the boat, because maybe it's just a little bit of anal retentiveness on my part, but I do not want just random hoses and stuff run through the boat that aren't being used. And getting that stuff out, that's going to be tricky. This is the air conditioning unit. This is one of them that's going away, but kind of hidden all the way in here, that big fat black hose, that's the gas exhaust hose coming out of the generator. So it's like zip tied to things, it goes under wires. We're gonna have to be doing some serious tugging, pulling, figuring out where the heck that comes out. First thing I want to do though is try to clear up a little bit of space so it's just easier to get to things. And since this air conditioning is coming out, there's no real reason for having kind of the ducting and stuff still run through the boat. So let's get that out of the way. Just give ourselves a little bit easier access to the back side of the bulkhead. I did already do the other side, that one first, so I can have a little bit of an idea what's going on. There are two additional screws, just very small there, that's holding up this entire kind of ducting assembly from the bottom. So if I undo those, I should just be able to pull the whole thing out. That wasn't too difficult in the end. Not entirely sure what we're going to do with these holes up here. See how Amy's feeling with all her fiberglass work, if she wants to try to fill those in or just keep the vents up there. But now, see if we can zoom in down there. We can actually see where all the connections are. So, yep, there's some fuel connections. That's the exhaust connection. So, at least I have access to it now. Each of those hoses had hose clamps it needed removing, and once those were off, I had to somehow get the hose off the hose barb. It was at this point I needed to mute the microphone. What was the gas exhaust hose? That one. It's finally out. It's just very tight spaces, hard to get a grip on things. But now that it's out up here, we have to go down into the hull and actually see where the through hole is. Of course, it is quite dark down here. Let's see, so it's down in this cabinet. Open this up, and that one right there is where it actually goes the through hole out of the boat. So we're going to disconnect it there, pull the hose out. It does get a little bit sweaty working on this stuff. As I'm thinking about it now, it may be a little bit easier trying to pull this hose out from above rather than trying to get the whole thing down through here. So let's go above, try that. One hose down, only 4 more to go. So I think I'm going to stop filming and try to make a little bit quicker progress on those. I have been doing a little investigating, and unfortunately I think the conduit that the fuel lines are running through are a bit full now with all the other projects we've done since the boat was built. That may warrant a little bit of filming and talking about that when we get to that point, but for now, let's make some progress. All the hoses are off. That feels good. I was sweating and swearing so much it necessitated a change of shirt today, but it's all right. It's done up here. Now I still gotta do the stuff inside the boat, and one of the things I realized was that the raw water intake hose, there's a check valve in it, so that was still full of water, which means I need to go down at the through hole, empty that before make a giant mess all on the boat. My brilliant plan for getting the hose off the through hole, removing the strainer, check valve, and old boost pump without making a massive mess involved using our shop vac to try and catch the water coming out of the hoses. It kind of worked, and once everything was out and cleaned up, I could remove the raw water intake and exhaust hoses.
I hear a lot of banging down here. What are you tugging on?
Yeah, so there are two lines still coming out from the generator into the boat, and those are the two fuel lines. Those have the highest likelihood of making a massive mess, and there is the easy way to do things and there's the right way to do things, because those fuel lines come through a conduit all the way back to, this is the port aft cabin back here. And that conduit's very full, so trying to get it, force it through is just, it's going to be a disaster. So instead, I need to try to pull some of the, like the solar wiring goes through that same conduit. We got to pull that out to create some room, and then we can pull the fuel lines out. So it's 2 steps backwards to make 5 steps forward without too much hassle, I hope. Pulling cables through the boat is one of those tasks that is made so much easier with the help of my favorite assistant.
All right, give it a try. All right, so the tape is at the end of the corridor now.
Your turn down here, huh?
Yes, we are tag teaming this
Fuel line nonsense.
fuel line nonsense. That's nicer than I was going to be, but...
I'm trying to be nice here.
Yeah, so getting the cords out and eventually having to put them back in has definitely been worth it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain to kind of like go backwards to start, but getting the lines out was much easier.
Yes, so we have one final step to do from this conduit to the engine room?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so let's see. Well, it might be very, very dark, but it's a whole tangle of lines and stuff in there, so...
Yep.
So close.
So close. Is it out?
Ta-da!
Yay!
Now for the next one.
Okay, so what are you doing now? You're clearly not done in the engine room yet, unfortunately for you.
No, not quite yet. So since we got all of the wires and stuff out of the conduit, now I got to get all of the wires traced back in and wired back in. So we had to undo the wire for the hydro generator, the port alternator negative, and then also the solar positive. So those 3 things getting put back in, and then I'll feel pretty confident saying that we've completely removed the fuel lines.
Woohoo! Do you think you're gonna get that done today?
Depends on how much you're willing to help me. Should be pretty good. Getting everything rewired meant the removing all the mechanical components part of the generator uninstall project was finished, but there were still some electrical components remaining. Now the reason I'm back in here is all of these things up here. These are all like the old controls for the generator, the AC electrical wires, all that fun stuff. So all that's got to come out. Everything's disconnected kind of inside the boat, so I just got to get it undone here, pull it through, and then get all these wires out. Because, yeah, like I'm talking about, all of these wires coming back a few months from now, I'm never going to remember what those are inside the boat. Looking pretty bare in here. All the stuff's disconnected. Looking down here, this is the conduit where the wires are all gonna run into the boat. So all the wires are free, loose, all that fun stuff. So now it's back into the boat to pull all these things inside. Seems like it never ends. The best view of where I can get the wires coming through the bulkhead, it's down here. All the way down there. At least with the electrical wires, I wasn't having to coax them off of hose barbs. I made quick work of pulling them through and then moved on to removing the control panel and the genset battery on-off switch. I will admit, it's slightly unnerving leaving new holes all over the boat. This is it. That's the last of the control cable for the generator, which means everything over on the port side has been removed. Just the big AC power wires on the starboard side to go. There was a reason I waited to do the starboard hull second for all this wiring, and that's down here. There is quite a traffic jam of wires that kind of find their way up in here. And this right here, I forgot to mention, this is one of the wires. This goes down to the boost pump for the generator, or what was the boost pump, and then the big old thick AC wire is hiding, but yep, hiding, still in there. So, in order to get all that stuff out, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started uninstalling this air conditioner that's up here. This is one of the 3 that we're going to be removing off of the boat, and I'm going to be repurposing this cabinet, or the under sofa storage in here, for where some new solar controllers are going to go, some wiring for the water maker and the new air conditioning. So we're going to be repurposing this, so this air conditioning has got to go. Doesn't take too long to uninstall the aircon. Everything's, well, at least the electrical components are undone. Now I just have to do that 5 more times, only 6 in total, for all 6 air conditionings, and then install 3 new ones. So that'll be a whole different project. But for now, at least the electrical wires seem like they're a little more freed up. Hopefully they'll come out now. The generator's about 95% disassembled. I got the AC wire run all the way back to the engine room. It necessitated a jump down into this locker. Super fun. Very, very tight spaces. And then also a run down into the engine room. So let me get back there, show you that tight space as well. There we go. All kinds of fun fitting in there. And that's the cable that was plugged in for the AC power of the generator. And the reason I haven't undone it completely all the way back to the breaker box is all the ACs still need to be undone as well. So I might as well just save it till all those wires are disconnected, and I can just jump down in here once rather than multiple times. Hey y'all, I feel like it's been a little while since I've done these outros, but we've got a couple important announcements to make. We're coming to the Newport Boat Show and Annapolis. Had so much fun last year meeting everyone in person that we cannot wait to do it again. So we have got Facebook groups set up for anyone who's coming to the show. Go and check out our Facebook page. And I'm gonna have down here discount codes for $5 off your tickets if you haven't already bought tickets yet. It should be Chasing Stars for Newport and Chasing Stars 22 for Annapolis. So cannot wait to see you guys there. Gonna have a great time. Cannot wait. So also, Hope you've been enjoying kind of these refit videos. It was so much more work getting the generator out than I thought it was going to be, but we are finally done removing stuff and gonna start installing stuff next time. So stick around, check that out. See y'all next time.